But one farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
So, and I said, well, what if it does happen? And he says, well, price will solve everything. I said, thanks, give me the gold.
Why do central banks hold it? Well, it's a form of reserves. So why don't they hold diamonds? Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. You know, it's always nice to take a moment, look back at some history, and it's topics like this. This article is sent in by one of you, one of the viewers. It inspires us to realize once again the role of gold, the history of gold, how long it has been viewed as money, how long it has served as money, but also connecting it with certain points in history is always worth discussing. And sometimes when you look at history, some of the only surviving examples of certain stories, persons, acts, events are seen or found because they exist in the form of money struck onto gold or silver coinage of that time period. Today we're going to take a look at a story, a character. We'll read up on different parts of this man's life. Caratacus, a rebel against the Roman invasion of Britain, a chieftain 2,000 years ago. Again, these coins are about 2,000 years old, 20 centuries. Just again, a testament to the value and the relationship that humans hold with gold. Now, this beautiful gold coin is set to auction in November, as you'll find out when we read through the article. And it is predicted to be the most valuable gold coin in history. It could go down as being one of the greatest numismatic discoveries, and after the close of the auction, perhaps the most valuable gold coin ever sold at auction. Most valuable coin, period, sold at auction.
That?
Yes, that's a beautiful gold coin. Again, it will depend upon the closing price of this coin, because as you know, many coins have sold in the measure of millions of dollars. So unless this coin fetches in the millions of dollars, it may not be the most valuable priced in modern fiat, but it is truly remarkable, rare, and in my opinion, priceless. Something like this most likely belongs in a museum, to quote Indiana Jones and his friend Marcus. Britain's first freedom fighter, Iron Age coin depicting warlord Caratacus, who held back the invading Roman hordes nearly 2,000 years ago, is set to fetch £30,000 at auction. Let's read through this article from the Daily Mail. The Iron Age coin was found in a field near Newbury, Berkshire, in 2019. It depicts the leader Caratacus, who could fetch as much as £30,000 at auction. Caratacus was a chieftain 2,000 years ago who resisted the Roman conquest. He resisted the Roman conquest of Britain for 8 years before being captured. And at the end of this video, we're going to read into his life just a little bit more thoroughly. A 2,000-year-old Iron Age coin depicting Britain's first ever freedom fighter is set to become one of the most expensive ever sold. Described as the most important single Iron Age coin ever found in this country, the coin depicts the leader, Caratacus, who resisted the Roman invasion in 43 AD. It was minted in Hampshire shortly before Emperor Claudius sent 4 legions to raid Britannia, and may fetch as much as £30,000. A metal detectorist dug the prize up in a field near Newbury, Berkshire, in November of 2019, only 20 miles from where it was minted in modern-day Silchester, then Caleva, 2,000 years ago. The auction at Chris Rood in Norwich has a starting price of £24,000, but experts say they expect it to see it climb much higher. The coin is the first definitely known as linked to Caratacus to be discovered. He was a military commander in the 1st century AD and managed to resist the Roman conquest of Britain for 8 years. Dr. John Seals, author of Divided Kingdoms, the Iron Age gold coinage of southern England, said, "The Caratacus gold stater is the most important single Iron Age coin ever found in this country, the only known gold coin of one of Britain's greatest resistance leaders." Dr. Philip de Jersey, former keeper of the Celtic Coin Index and author of Celtic Coinage in Britain, said the find was, quote, extraordinary. He added, "It seems quite extraordinary after so many decades of metal detecting that something quite so unexpected should turn up, and for a ruler who plays such an important role in British history. The simple fact that it is unique after all those years of searching and all those thousands of finds must indicate that it was a rare and unusual coin from the moment it was struck. The coin has been recorded by the Portable Antiquities Scheme of the British Museum and by the Celtic Coin Index at the Institute of Archaeology, Oxford." University of Reading experts, or Reading, however you pronounce it over there, have already excavated parts of Silchester, the site of Caratacus' capital city, to reveal its heritage. Professor Michael Fulford said the coin added not only a new dimension to Caratacus' coinage, otherwise found only in silver, but an insight into the resources he commanded at the time of the Roman invasion of Britain. He says Caratacus dug or redug a deep ditch and rampart 1.5 miles long around Caleva, which he thinks was captured by the Roman army, probably early in AD 44. In 2019, 5 months before the coin was found, the skull of a young man was discovered near the bottom of the ditch. He may have died defending Caleva and its ruler, who then retreated to Wales with his family. In their pamphlet, The Caratacus Stater, Norfolk coin dealers Elizabeth Cottam and Chris Rood describe Caratacus as a privileged prince in Britain's first famous royal family, a charismatic character, a charmer even in chains, and a courageous commander who became an international celebrity. They say, in view of his inspiring leadership of the Welsh warriors and his daring hit-and-run defense of the Welsh people, we think that Caratacus may be more deserving of the title Prince of Wales than later princes whose Norman ancestors fought against the Welsh, not for them. Experts believe Caratacus means beloved teacher, and may have been pronounced Caratacus, a proposal corroborated by both Dr. Daphne Nash Briggs, author of Coinage in the Celtic World, and the Celtic etymologist Dr. Thomas Markey. David R. Sear, author of Roman Coins and Their Values, said, "This must surely rank amongst the most exciting numismatic discoveries of the 21st century, if not of all time." And Dr. Nash Briggs added, "Pre-Roman coins like this remarkable gold stater, struck in the name of Caratacus, found recently near Newbury, lend uniquely rich insight into the history and politics of their age." I'll interject here. This is why coins are so absolutely fascinating. To observe their disbursement, their design, the stories they tell, the images struck upon them. It's remarkable. This is why coins have fascinated me since the earliest age. There's just something about it, something about holding them and observing them. It's truly a testament to what they hold, I guess the magic that coinage holds. It is believed that the coin was almost certainly a one-off special issue, and it is unlikely it went into general circulation. Caratacus is best known today as the freedom fighter who defied and delayed the forces of Rome for 8 years, mostly in Wales, until he was betrayed in Yorkshire by Cartimandua, queen of the Brigantes. That's why you never trust a woman, especially if you're a warrior king. He is also remembered for the eloquent speech he gave as he stood as a chained captive before Claudius, expecting to be executed. And we're going to read that speech here in a moment. Bizarrely, he was eventually pardoned and set free, with some historians speculating it was because Claudius had known him as a boy. Dr. John A. Davies, former chief curator of Norwich Castle Museum, described the coin as beautiful and a superb discovery. He added, "This does all confirm that Caratacus issued coinage in his name, in turn having significance for the other Car silver coins. This is a very important find and a beautiful coin. The coin is considered to be important because it has the inscription CNVO, which confirms the previously disputed claim that Caratacus was the son of Cunobelinus, a king in pre-Roman Britain, from about AD 9. The coin has now been recorded by the Portable Antiquities Scheme of the British Museum and by the Celtic Coin Index at the Institute of Archaeology in Oxford. It will be auctioned on November 15th. Archaeologist Professor Colin Hazelgrove added, "It must be in with a chance of being the most valuable Iron Age coin found to date. Everyone likes a British hero." Now, there's several articles you can find online about this character, Caratacus, this British hero. And that's one of the incredible things about coinage. When you stumble upon a coin like this, a story like this, it takes you down a rabbit hole and you begin to explore a part of history you never once looked at before. Caratacus, the 1st century AD chieftain who resisted the Roman invasion for 8 years. Caratacus was a British chieftain of Catavilani tribe during the 1st century AD who resisted the Roman conquest of Britain under Emperor Claudius. Before the Roman invasion, the chieftain was known for expanding his tribe's occupation of the town of Varlamion, now St. Albans, and the surrounding areas of Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, and southern Cambridgeshire. The conquest started in 43 AD and was largely completed by 87 AD. But for 8 years, Caratacus was able to hold them off by employing a combination of guerrilla warfare and set-piece battles, although he was unsuccessful with the latter. Caratacus' last battle was the Battle of Caradoc, fought in 50 AD. While the location of the battle is unknown, the hill fort at Caradoc Hill in Shropshire is connected with the battle by name. Despite having the high ground, Caratacus' forces were broken by those of Roman commander Publius Astorius Scapula, who was hailed as a hero in Rome. Caratacus' wife, son, and daughter were captured, while his son surrendered, but Caratacus himself escaped and fled the territory after his final defeat to the territory of Cartimandua, a 1st century queen of Brigantis, a Celtic people living in what is now northern England. Cartimandua, who was loyal to Rome, captured Caratacus and handed him over to the Romans, who sentenced him to death as a military prisoner. Before his execution, he made a speech that persuaded Emperor Claudius of the Romans to spare him. This speech I found on Wikipedia. I don't know how well it's translated or how accurate it is or if it's the entirety of it, but this is from the section on Caratacus titled "The Captive in Rome." After his capture, Caratacus was sent to Rome as a war prize, presumably to be killed after a triumphal parade. Although a captive, he was allowed to speak to the Roman Senate. Tacitus records a version of his speech in which he says that his stubborn resistance made Rome's glory in defeating him all the greater. "If the degree of my nobility and fortune had been matched by moderation in success, I would have come to this city as a friend rather than a captive, nor would you have disdained to receive with a treaty of peace one sprung from brilliant ancestors and commanding a great many nations. But my present lot, disfiguring as it is for me, is magnificent for you. I had horses, men, arms, and wealth. What wonder if I was unwilling to lose them? If you wish to command everyone, does it really follow that everyone should accept your slavery? If I were now being handed over as one who had surrendered immediately, neither my fortune nor your glory would have achieved brilliance. It is also true that in my case, any reprisal will be followed by oblivion. On the other hand, if you preserve me safe and sound, I shall be an eternal example of your clemency. He made such an impression that he was pardoned and allowed to live in Rome in peace. After his liberation, according to Dio Cassius, Caratacus was so impressed by the city of Rome that he said, quote, "And can you, then, who have got such possessions, and so many of them, still covet our poor huts?" His speech became the subject of folklore and art, with his life-inspiring plays and poems. Tacitus, the Roman historian and politician, who is said to have witnessed the speech, claims Caratacus told the Romans that his stubborn resistance made Rome's glory in defeating him all the greater. Some traditions have credited Caratacus, or Caradog in Welsh, with the introduction of Christianity to Britain upon his return from Rome. The Roman conquest is regarded to have brought an end to Iron Age Britain. Yeah, leave it to a bunch of Italians to go in there and modernize England, Britain. Well, this is just another, again, like I opened the video with, window into a part of history, different individuals, different dramas, battles, kings, chieftains, Romans, war. It's unbelievable. This is what comes out of finding a coin, discussing a coin. It all gets back to that, to the coinage. It's really some of the only surviving things that we can find and hold in magnificent condition that date back to these time periods, to these types of stories and parts of history. And I've always said that is one of the most intriguing and amazing parts of coinage. You know, I often think about just the bullion you and I hold, or the rounds, the coins. Take, for example, the coin that this channel, you guys there in the audience, worked so hard along with me to produce, to have minted. You know, there's only 900 or so of the Maltby rounds, but who knows where they're going to end up over time and in history. I mean, we know now that they're essentially on every single continent, I think, other than Antarctica, but they're everywhere. They're on every continent. There's 960 or so out there. They're in Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, and all of those little places as well. And I often have thought, you know, what's it going to be like? You know, I'm not comparing myself to him at all. This is just a story about a coin. You know, what are people going to see when they dig those up or find them in volcanic ash or in the mud, or your tomb, as you have your medals about you when you're buried? Who knows where they're going to be and what will be discussed about them? If the symbols will still have meaning, if people will be able to discuss things like liberty, libertas, gold and silver. The story of Marsyas, you know, a Roman deity and figure himself, a mythological satyr anyway. So we've kind of helped propel his story even further into the future, because I'm sure they'll be able to link the imagery found there on the obverse to those of the ancient sculptures and stories surrounding Marsyas and what it represented. So again, coinage, history, this story about Caratacus, just intriguing, interesting. Wanted to share it with you, bring it up, discuss it. Thanks for tuning in today to the Junius Maltby channel, and all of you have a good rest of your evening.